And as an introvert, like, how does that feel? That feels like horrible, right?
Worst
So,
ever.
oh, let me tell you, some of the worst dates. Regardless, I would get fed up probably within 3 months, and I would jump off the apps, quit my subscriptions because I wanted to pay to play. Because to me, if I paid to play, then more than likely the person on the other side is also paying to play and they're serious.
Right. Right.
So at this time, I was realizing that I knew a lot of what I didn't want, but I didn't know a lot of what I did want. So I took a few things and I would start reframing them. And I do this with my clients too. I had a client that said, I just want him to have a job. And I'm like, no, you don't. You don't want him to just have a job. What do you want
Right.
your life to look like when you get home from work? And she would go off and explain. And I would say, sweet. So guess what? That means he's not a truck driver or a police officer because he has inconsistent hours and he's away from home.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to This Introvert's Heart with Selena. I'm Selena. Today, I am joined with Molly Connolly. Molly is devoted to helping women reinvent their love lives, whether that's after divorce, dating on and off the apps, or in their committed relationship. She's a former college athlete who filed for divorce 3 years into marriage, swam in the online dating pool into her late 30s, and now she's married to the man of her spreadsheet dreams, who she met 4 months before the world shut down. When Molly works with women, she helps her clients shift the focus from being obsessed with finding Mr. Right to shifting to herself as the Miss Right Now. Together, they build a foundation filled with clarity, connection, and confidence, knowing she is worth waiting for. Molly empowers her clients through assisting in the creation of her vision and embodying her future self through the actions she takes in her love life. Thank you for joining me today, Molly.
Not you so much for having me here, Selena. I am so excited to join you.
I'm so happy to have you because this is a conversation I have not had yet with an introverted person about the wild, crazy world of dating and relationships. They're a lot anyway, just for, I call extroverted people normals because that's how the world works. And
Oh,
they
I can
make
see
us
that.
feel like we're the abnormal ones. So it's even strange and crazy for them who have, reckless abandon, I will say sometimes. And so for us, when we're all in our heads, it's really crazy. So I'm so interested in getting to know you and your topic some more. But before we start, do you consider yourself an introvert?
Oh, yes, I do. I mean, I can't even imagine where, if I could even be extroverted, because it would be so inauthentic. You know, being an
Right.
introvert is just a wonderful place. I personally, I feel to be.
I agree. Um, there's good things and bad things to everything, but I think for me, I think more people could spend more time in their head thinking a little bit more before they start speaking and giving everybody else their opinions.
Oh yeah, that sounds about right. I can understand that.
So, tell me a little bit about your background and how you got started with your company and how long you've been doing it.
Yeah. So, a brief overview of my background, because, depending how far back you want to go, I
Right.
previously was a digital marketer. And so, honestly, in that area of life, you kind of have to be forced to be an extrovert a little bit. And that was a little tricky for me, as well as corporate life really wasn't something I was very passionate about. And instead, I was searching for something to really find fulfillment and satisfaction in my life. And life coaching kind of fell into my lap. And during that time, I explored different areas to help people. And at the time, I was really looking at helping athletes, transition to life after sport, because like I said, I'm a former athlete. And that area kind of took a turn that I wasn't expecting, where these people needed a little bit more help than I was able to give them, like maybe some more therapy, or, coping with that identity transition from always seeing themselves as an athlete to now hypothetically a normal person, going to corporate world or any of their career choices. And so from there, I started working with women to focus on their career. And as I was doing that at the end of our programs, which were about 9 or 12 sessions, they started to want to talk about their career relationships, whether that was with a coworker or a manager. And then that would slowly shift into, well, I need to talk about family and friends. And eventually they really started to hone in on that relationship aspect. And that's where I really felt I could contribute even more because of my background in my own personal journey with relationships. So I have been helping women reinvent their love lives in different areas, like you mentioned, divorce, dating on and off the apps, or even in their committed relationship, because maybe they haven't really taken that time to self-reflect and create boundaries and speak their needs. So that's how I got started to where I am today.
I love that. And I think, honestly, that's how most people start getting into coaching. I think people wonder that a lot, but it's a need that you had
Mm.
for a lot of people, and there was no one there to meet that need for you. And someone was there for you and you want to be there for somebody else. I think that's the advocate side of us. And I think that runs through introverts a lot. I think we are the hearts and the souls of the world. And so we want to take care and nurture everybody. So I love that. You don't want anyone else to go through what you've been through if they don't have to.
Oh,
And I like that a
exactly.
lot. I like that a lot. So, how long do you spend with your clients typically in the coaching?
Well, it depends. I have a variety of options. I do like a 3, 6 month, and as well as a year long. It depends on what they're really looking for. If they're just looking for clarity around who they want to be with and create that love life vision, sometimes that takes 3 months. But usually, what happens is that we uncover some things where maybe they aren't as well connected with themselves. So that can be extended another 3 months into that connection phase of really pulling out, who am I? Where did these possibly like limiting beliefs have come from that have impacted my love life vision and kind of made my clarity kind of cloudy? So now I need to reformat that in order to have a better and more efficient path to finding love. Sometimes, especially with women who have been married and now are divorced, they find themselves lacking the confidence, the trust, as well as the sense of having worth to be in another relationship. And so that takes a lot more time to rebuild. And so typically I work with those clients for longer. So sometimes that is that 6 month, but sometimes that's the 12 months of really digging in there so that we can go back through, build that foundation of these 4 areas that I call self transformation, which would be the self trust, the self worth, self care, and self love. A lot of us talk about self love and self care, but they all really do go hand in hand with that trust and worth, because once you can have those, you really know how to care for yourself and you really know how to love yourself and choose yourself first, so that you can have a relationship with a partner that is so authentic and efficient for you as well.
I love that, because the self trust and self worth, those are themes that I'm hearing in every episode I cover with someone. Everybody is talking about that because I think it is I think we all are just, a lot of us are in like a default of, this is who people say I am, so this
Mm.
is who I am. And, that's where I was for most of my life until this year. And I said, okay, God, I'm going to listen to you this year. I'm going to start talking to myself better, because it's true. I would look in the mirror and I would say, ugh, ugh, that would be my ugh. But this year I changed that and I'm like, oh, and I almost don't even recognize the person in the mirror anymore because I'm speaking to her so much better. And I think I love that that's what you focus on. Part of what you focus on is because so many women we don't even realize we're doing that to ourselves, I think.
Oh, completely agree. And it's coming from a place of, we want to feel that worth, and we want to, maybe like you said, looking in the mirror and want to feel the worth for someone else. And a lot of the time as women, we really look outwardly to get that self-acceptance and validation when we really have the power to harness that within ourselves. And as an introvert, you understand the power we have as reflection. And even just the way you were talking about the mirror, like that's another way to do reflection, right? Where we can
Mm-hmm.
sit back and say, so-and-so said this about me today, but how true is that? How true is that for me? And if it's not true, you know what? I'm just going to brush it off because that's not my story. That's what their
Right.
perception is and not mine. So you get to sit there and reflect and create your own story of what worth is for you.
I love that. And having the confidence to say, that's not, I like that. I don't, that's not me. I don't receive that. That's your opinion, not mine. And you have to kind of start speaking up for yourself and to say things like that. Because I think, especially as an introvert, we kind of like, yeah, that's not me, but we'll let it go. But sometimes you do have to tell people, no, that's not me. I did that recently with someone, and they were saying, oh, yeah, people said this and this about you. And they were like, you know what? I don't receive that. That's not true. That's not true. And I said
Ooh.
to myself, oh, look at me. I would have never
Yeah.
said that before.
And
Right.
see,
So
that's
you're
just so
teaching women
awesome.
how to do that. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but like you just said, like I didn't notice that either about myself, my younger self, where I would just let those comments come in. And to be honest, I probably didn't have a way to let it out as an introvert. We
Right.
kind of just like have this stickiness of things where if we don't say that's not mine, and if we don't voice it to someone else, I'm sorry that that's your perception of me, but that's not how I do things. That's how I feel. That's not how I think. Here's what I think. Here's how I feel. Um, we do need to speak up a little bit more and finding ways to communicate so that it shows our true selves.
I do. It's the power. You have to take back the narrative, the story of your life. It's your life. And, don't let people just put their own chapters into your book that don't belong there, because they would never let you do that. Believe me. You're not giving that to me.
I
So
love
I
that.
would love to know if you want to share, if you don't mind, and I don't know if I asked you this or not. So we talked before this, and you
Mm-hmm.
told me how you had a spreadsheet
Mm-hmm.
of things that you were looking for in a person. And so we all have heard that kind of theory before, and people are like, oh, don't make a list, go by your heart. So tell, if you want to, if you don't mind sharing, like how you made that list. And I'll let you tell the people what happened with that spreadsheet and then your current husband. So but just take us down that road of how that spreadsheet worked for you.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite stories, to be honest.
Great.
And before I became a coach, I had people asking for my spreadsheet. So this is one of those funny moments of how it is integrated into my business. So a long time ago, after my divorce, I got into two relationships quite back to back, really quick, just trying to go back out there and date, but then would just fall into a relationship. And eventually I realized I don't even know how to date. And my mom and a few friends of mine are like, you just need to go out there and meet a bunch of people. And as an introvert, like, how does that feel? That feels like horrible, right?
Worst
So,
ever.
oh, let me tell you, some of the worst dates. Regardless, I would get fed up probably within 3 months, and I would jump off the apps, quit my subscriptions because I wanted to pay to play. Because to me, if I pay to play, then more than likely the person on the other side is also paying to play and they're serious.
Right. Right.
So at this time, I was realizing that I knew a lot of what I didn't want, but I didn't know a lot of what I did want. So I took a few things and I would start reframing them. And I do this with my clients too. I had a client that said, I just want him to have a job. And I'm like, no, you don't. You don't want him to just have a job. What do you want
Right.
your life to look like when you get home from work? And she would go off and explain, and I would say, sweet. So guess what? That means he's not a truck driver or a police officer because he has inconsistent hours and he's away from home. You want a man to come down and have dinner with you. So maybe he's a teacher, already works a 9 to 5, and he probably isn't a doctor either because he's not on call. All these
Smart.
things. So it's coming to having the clarity of what I really, really wanted, and having that love life vision allowed me to create a list of about 63 things. We're just going to be honest, it's 63 things. I still have this list.
I love it. 63
And
was wildly specific. So,
yeah, sorry. So with these 63 items, so it was not just like he has brown hair. It's not just that.
right.
It would be, like I said, he has a job that works like 8 to 5. Maybe it's flexible. Maybe he has a 401k, because if he has a 401k, he's thinking about his future. And if he's thinking about his future, he might be thinking about having a future relationship. So all those sort of things that overlap different areas of our lives. And I would start to think about which ones are the most important, because some of them were stupid, to be honest. Like, I really like dogs. I hope he doesn't have cats. Well, guess what? My current husband had cats. And I was like, oh, is this like a deal breaker? Or
Right.
is the other things more important? So I had to figure out which ones were the most important to me. But at the same time, it would help me date. It kept me accountable. I wasn't just like falling for that handsome face on the other side of the screen. I wasn't having a few beverages and thinking, oh my gosh, he's so funny. When, to be honest, he probably didn't have this most amazing personality when I didn't have drinks, right? So I would look at this spreadsheet before I would go out on a date. And I would remind myself, like, does he have any of these qualities? And in the beginning, I just really tried to go with the flow. Eventually, I was like, does his profile have any of these qualities already on there? And I would check them off
Right.
as I would go. And I'd be like, he smokes. And at the time, obviously I'm just like, I'm not a smoker. That's not something I'm interested in. So it would help me eliminate people as well.
Right.
Um, but as I continued dating, I had to really gut check myself after the dates. So I started using it then. And within a few months, I knew this was something I wanted to continue as a process, but it still took me about 2 to 3 years to meet my husband. But I will say he reached out to me on a Tuesday. I asked him out on a date on Thursday. He wasn't available, so we went on Friday. That night, I looked and he had almost half of the qualities I was looking for. And by the end of 2 weeks, I realized he had 61 of the 63 qualities. And then the following week, I told my mother, if I don't marry this man, then there is no man out there for me. So my husband is a unicorn
Clearly.
for me. So,
Oh, that's amazing. And
mhm.
that is so great because the things you talked about, it's things that people think about, but they don't put the time to put the effort into putting it down into words, what it is that they want. Yeah, because he's got to be over 6 foot and brown hair. That's easy. But no, when you really think about it, like when you said, you don't want somebody on call, you don't want someone that's not going to be around, that's really great that you came up with that, and I see that it works. So, do
Mhm.
you help your clients come up with something like that for themselves, or?
Actually, yes. I have done this with a few clients, and now I'm integrating it into my coaching. So that's part of the 3 month coaching, clarity coaching. That one is a very structured 3 month program to help them get that clarity and achieve that on their own. And ironically enough, I'm holding my very first workshop in January. It's going to be a two
Oh,
day virtual workshop where I go over this in detail to explain my process and my methodology on a Saturday and Sunday. And then all in a Facebook group, I'll be able to continue the conversation with ladies and help them one on one while they continue to work on their spreadsheet. So I can't wait to do that. It's one of my favorite things to do with a client. So I can't wait to bring it to a group.
That is going to be so much fun because I can just see the good times as you're creating your list and talking about it in a group. That's going to be so much fun and helpful because, things that you might say, I might not have thought about, so it's good to come together in a group. I'm all about group learning, group coaching, because the more like-minded people, the better. And you just get opened up to so many possible ideas and stuff. I love that. So that'll
Yeah.
be on your website where people can find that too.
Yes, I actually just published the website page, shoot, last week. So I can definitely send you that link if you need it. So yeah,
Oh
it's available on
yeah,
my
for
website as of right
sure.
now.
Oh, that's wonderful. And getting back to what you were saying, when you were making the spreadsheet, those qualities and things that you are looking for, it's basically manifesting, truly. It's really just you are manifesting. I'm a big fan, proponent. I've manifested my whole life into existence, apparently. And I thought everybody did this. I did not know till recently. But it's true. If you do that stuff, if you write it down, you visualize, you manifest, it helps you attract what you think about. People don't really understand the power of your thoughts. And that gets me back to the next thing that we have in common. We
Mm,
didn't even talk about, I don't think, as I was reading on the show notes, is that you put that you've come from a place of yes now.
mm.
Um, and I did that in this year, going into turning 50, beginning of January. I said, I'm going to come from a place of yes, because none of us understand, I don't think, the depths to how deeply we come from a place of no just by default as humans. We just
Yeah.
do. And everything is no, I can't, because no, I can't. Why? And so to actually turn it and say yes, it's very challenging. It's very
Yeah.
hard to keep that word to yourself, your promise to yourself, because it it's so much easier to say no sometimes. So tell me about you and your experience coming from a place of yes.
Well, the yes for me has been a side of people pleasing. And so I actually like completely did a 180 a few years ago and went really hardcore into the no. And I
Right.
noticed how much that like really cut off opportunities, making new friendships, especially like in the pandemic, everyone is just meeting other people online. Um, and so this last year, excuse me, I wanted to have more opportunities and embrace my introvert comfort zone a little bit, just kind of push those barriers. And so I started to say yes more, but I wasn't holding myself accountable. I almost got onto the verge of burning out. My husband was
Right.
kind of like, "Are you sure you want to do all these things?" And I'm like, "Yes, I'm doing all the things." And I had to really dial it down and reprioritize and learn
Hmm.
what ones gave me the energy and the fulfillment and satisfaction, and continue to harness those lessons that I've learned through reflection to identify the yeses and the opportunities and see what actually energetically feels aligned. Just like us, like we chatted yesterday, and I was like, this is definitely something I want to participate in. And we are on here
Right.
right now chatting. So it's great to come from a place of yes, especially as an introvert, because it really stretches us. But it's also learning when we have overextended ourselves so that we can keep those boundaries in place, because as an introvert, and maybe you feel the same way, that you kind of need that time to replenish yourself and like rejuvenate. So that's the last thing you want to do, is overextend yourself, especially
Yes.
like during the holidays and other busy times of the year. So
Yes. And I'm glad you brought that up. Let me clarify. I mean place of yes for things I'm willing to do. I don't mean
mm-hmm.
yes to every, oh, come over here, when it's not going to serve me a purpose. Like if it's just to go to a party with a bunch of extroverts where I'm going to be exhausted at the end. No,
Ooh.
that I'm still not doing. But things, right? But the things that I know, and the things that you should be saying yes to, that you're saying no to. That's what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Those things that I know I should say yes, and normally I would be like, no, I don't want to. I'm saying yes to those. So I'm glad that you let me clarify that by bringing that up.
No
But
worries.
it's definitely something that you have to protect yourself. Like I tell people, givers have to eventually stop giving because takers will never stop taking. They just won't, because
100%.
it's what they do. So we have to come from a place of self-preservation and just know, and that's it, you know. It's
Yeah.
just no. And I love that you um talk so much about, caring for yourself. Self care is also one of the things that I push. Self care
Mm.
is not selfish, it's vital, because you have to pour from a full cup, instead of an empty cup. So if something is really important to you, like if you like to work out, you know, and that is important to you to set your mind every day, you have to do that, because
Mm-hmm.
then there's no resentment when all the people pulling at you come pulling at you, because they're going to pull at you whether you go work out or not. So you better make that time for yourself each day. And I like having that approach to harmony in life.
Mm.
We can't always say yes, we can't always say no. I live in the gray somewhere. I'm very situational. There's the things you just can't do. Don't kill anybody, but then everything else, let's see what the background, what's the story on some of this stuff, what led to this, and then, is it correctable? Does any of that make sense to you, what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, I love the fact it's like coming from a place of curiosity and saying,
Right.
where can I say yes to this opportunity and still have it be a win-win for both me and the other people involved? Like that's the best outcome, right? So, yeah, I
Yeah,
definitely
as
agree.
introverts, we want to know everything. I think introverts were very curious. Like, we want to know everything, and we're the people that go down rabbit holes and just want to know.
Oh yeah. Yep. Devil of the details.
Yeah.
Got to have it all figured
Oh
out.
my God. Get out of my head. Oh my God.
You
So,
know,
if there's anything that you could change about, go ahead, go ahead.
oh, I was just going to say, I love that you brought up manifesting. A
Oh,
friend
oh
of mine
yeah,
mentioned that to me when she's like, "Yeah, I think you manifested your husband." And I was like, "I don't know what you're talking about." But
you did.
funny story, I manifested my wedding dress during the pandemic. And so, like, that right there, people need to know that yes, when you get clarity about what you want and you focus on it and you search for it and you take action, you can have things that you just deeply
Yes,
desire and know you deserve. So I just wanted to make
it's
sure
that
that people know that
whole,
that's real.
it's very real. And I'm glad you said that, because it's that whole putting it out into the universe, speaking to God what you desire, what you want. It's very true, because you have to have clarity. Like I was saying, if you decide today you want to uh, silver Range Rover, when you go out today, that's all you're going to see. Because
Mm-hmm.
it's what's on your mind. So when you put something on your mind, you won't even see the rest of those people that you're not interested. They won't even exist, because you're headed, your light is beaming, and it's like a beacon light. And what you want is going to find you if you keep your mind positive, your vibes good, and you keep your focus on what you do want and keep the negativity at bay. Negativity.
1000%.
Negativity. So your friend is
1000%.
right. You did manifest all of it.
Yes.
You're really good at it, and you didn't even know you were doing it. I love that. So as we're getting ready to close and stuff, I just want to say, so What do you love the most about being an introvert, Molly?
Well, honestly, I I would say that one of the things that I have recently become to love about being an introvert is learning how to communicate my boundaries. Kind of like you were saying earlier about saying no. Um, that would be one of them. But deep down, I love one on one connection, which that is part of the reason why I do enjoy coaching. I have done group
Right?
coaching, but I want to make sure it's like still small. If it was 50 people, that might
Intimate.
be a little big, but like, you just want to have the energy between certain people. I
Right.
love having that. So, one on one conversations for sure are something that just light me up for being an introvert.
Me too. I just love it because we hate small talk. Like small talk, oh my God. But if you want to have a conversation, oh, I'm all in. It's just let's get to it. You want to talk about why the world is round? Yes. But don't talk to me about what you ate for lunch. I don't care. I don't care.
That's awesome. Or the
so
weather. The weather is one thing that everyone seems
oh,
to
the
talk about.
weather. It's like when you have nothing to say, let's go to that. I'm like, let's just say nothing. Let's just
Yeah, I can handle silence.
So many people are so uncomfortable with silence. That's the problem because they're not comfortable with their thoughts or their, and that's
Emotions.
why we excel as introverts because, oh, that's what we know. That's what we
Exactly.
got. So, on that note, what, if anything, would you change about your introverted personality?
Ooh. Other than this, like learning how to do the yeses, so that it actually aligns with, you know, more opportunities and knowing when not to burn out, I would say more than likely it would be able to handle larger gatherings and traveling more often. My husband loves to travel, and for me, I just I just want to curl up at home sometimes. And this will be the third weekend that that I'm specifically traveling, and I'm just like, can we
Oh,
stay home? And he's
oh,
like, no, it's a work party, and I'm like, okay. I know we're
oh,
driving only 3 hours away for this overnight weekend holiday party, but I need like some downtime.
right. Because we
So,
do our energy source gets zapped having to be on. Even though we're fine, it's not like we're acting or anything, but it
mm,
does take a lot of out of us to have to be conversating because all the noise and the music and the loudness, it overstimulates us. And the conversation on top of it, it's a lot. And I did that. I was traveling for work and I
mm,
was gone and leisure. And so I was gone probably every week or every other week for about 2 months. And I was just
mm,
zapped. I was, oh my God, by the end of one thing, I had a table, a high top table where I was exhibiting and it had drapes around it, draped. And I ended up
mm.
going under the table just to get
Oh
away from
no.
people because I was so overloaded, but I had to stay there. But I was
Oh
like,
my
I need a
goodness.
break. I'm tapped out. I just shut down. It's like I just shut down. It's the weirdest thing. I was like, oh, I need a break. So I wish, like you say, I wish I had that reserve I could tap into more sometimes where like my partner he can just keep going, my mom she can just keep going, they're extroverts and so they exhaust me. They do. They exhaust me
Yeah.
sometimes, but I wish I had that next little level that I could kick in and just, oh, okay, I'm fine again.
Yeah. And like you said too, like those conversations, if we can't go deep and it's just surface level, it takes more energy out of me to do a surface
Right.
level conversation than to have the deep conversations that extroverts might not be able to handle. So,
Right. They're like, wait, what? I wanted to talk about that TV show. Why are we talking about God right now? I'm like,
yep,
sorry. That's where
exactly.
I went. That's where I went. Well, this has been so much fun, Molly. So, if women want to work with you, how should they start reaching out to you? What's the best way?
Well, one of the ways is that they can follow me on Instagram at Reinventing the Arena. They can also, email me. I have info at reinventingthearena.com. They can also just check out my website or even listen to my own podcast, which is Reinventing the Arena, just so they can
Yes,
learn a little bit
please.
more about me.
Right. Yes, please go listen to her and subscribe to Molly's podcast. Um, and before I let you go,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to ask you, is there anything else that you wanted to share with the audience today?
Definitely just embrace who you are. You are just as wonderful as you are. You do not need to put on a show. You don't need to mask. You don't need to perform for anyone. This is your life. Go live it. And you are completely worthy and enough as you are.
Amen. I tell people that all the time. You are just fine as you are, because the people who are saying something to you, it's because they don't want to look at themselves. Don't let anybody else put their fears and insecurities on you.
Right.
That's another mirror. Let them look back in that mirror. I'm sorry, was that you or me? You or me?
I always love the idea of like having your mirror in your back pocket and just being able to flip it open and say, "Oh, who are you talking to right now?"
I know. This was for you. This wasn't for me.
Yeah.
This was for you. This
Oh
has
my
been so
gosh.
much fun, Molly. Thank you again for joining us.
Yes, I loved it. Thank you so much, Selena. I appreciate it.
Thank you.